Well, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the January 18th, 2024 Greensburg Town Council Workshop. You all please enjoy.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
But for the record, we do have a forum tonight, although Commissioner Robinson is not here, but she's on. She'll be here. Do you know if Lindsay is joining us tonight?
She is on Zoom.
She is on Zoom?
Yeah.
Okay. Hello, Lindsay.
Hello.
Good night. Good. All right.
What'd you say? Sorry.
No, I just said, how are you doing? But that's fine.
Oh, I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I'll look for the minutes from the January the 4th meeting. Are any questions, comments? Then I'll look for a motion to approve them as written. I think we can take an action. It's a workshop. Yeah?
No.
No, we can't approve anything. Well, it says on the agenda.
I know what you
All right, so you've at least seen them, right?
Correct.
That's how you say of the not having a workshop.
And if you have any comments on them, I guess you could at least make those comments tonight so that they could be corrected for the next.
There, yes.
All right. All right, so on to town council discussion. Fees and fines.
No, it's a workshop. We can't take action. We can just discuss.
That was my mistake. I went past it. I was in a hurry to get to the town council discussion, I guess. We can certainly listen, I would think, to anything they have to say. So, if either of you have anything like to offer, Brad, how you first go first?
Alright, just one quick thing on School Street, 98 North School Street. There is a lady that has approached the town about some drainage issues. Since the road got repaved about 3 years ago, she has since bought the house 3 years ago. And there's storm drains in the back of her yard. There's 2 of them in her backyard and there's one on her side yard. Water comes down past the church. It floods in her driveway, her sidewalk. We went out there. We seen that her sump pump was actually underneath water. We told her she needed to reroute that above ground so that way it wasn't underground. And we jetted the storm drains, but there was no blockages or anything in water when she said that the night before there was nothing draining at all, but when we were out there, everything, there was no standing water, all the water was draining good. Had Pete out there, showed him. She's just in a very low line area, very low line. I mean, she's the lowest property out there. So I just want to let you all be aware that that's what.
In addition to the Baptist church, we added on to the original church. They ran the rain gutters down like most people do, and they piped them under the sidewalk to drain onto the street. Well, her house sits across the street and it's below street level, so the water just shoots out of there when we have these heavy rains and just floods her whole yard and property. So there's 2 storm drains in the back of the property as well as a sub pump that apparently Billy Little and other people had put in years ago. And I guess on a normal rain it works, but with the abundance, she's had an issue for the basement, her crawl space, everything's been flooded.
Did find out, she said that when they bought the house, they gave them 2 options. They said it needed a roof and the crawl space needed to be encapsulated. And she did not have the funds to do it, so they went negotiated and they settled for a new roof instead of the encapsulation of the crawl space. But she said since in the last 3 years, she's had mold issues, she's had rats. She claims that her sidewalk and steps have settled because the house is 41 years old, so. This was really, I guess, the second time in 40 years that it's been for all of that. The first time.
Well, even encapsulated crawl space is not gonna stop it, but, oh, it is just wrap the walls, it's gonna flood. it's just gonna go under the encapsulation.
Yeah.
So. I mean, the only thing I think is she might have to say something to the church about their storm drains and maybe run them somehow differently. You know what I'm saying? I mean, she bought the property, but it's like the house up on Academy that used to flood where, what's his name used to live, remember? That always flooded.
At the end,
Yeah. So, yeah. I don't know what else we could do for her, But you come up with a suggestion, I mean. She's got the storm drains, and do we do something maybe with that? Is there anything we can do with that?
We thought they were clogged, so he offered to go out there and jet them.
And like I said, we can't control Mother Nature. When it rains, it rains. I mean, So,
Well, she has reached out to Caroline County. She wanted a curb and gutter put up there, but it's still, her driveway's so low with curb and gutter still will not fix the issue.
right.
And then she was like, well, can you put a storm drain in my yard and connect it over to the other storm drain? And I told her I could not authorize that.
And how much do you think that costs?
I mean, if we put a small basin in a pipe, I mean, you might have a couple $100 invested into it.
So do we wanna do that if
I
the
think,
church is the,
I think we have to do something because
Right.
she didn't create the problem.
No, but she bought a house below street level. and-
She did, but we paved the road and the church went ahead and decided to run their downspout towards her house, correct?
No, they just put them out in the street like everybody else does.
Right,
Church didn't do anything wrong.
right,
We didn't do anything.
right.
She bought property below the street level, and because of the abundance of rain we've had, it's created an issue. She's identified, and he's gone out and jetted the stuff. I don't have a problem with discussing putting a storm drain like we did at the end of your place because of the standing water. But in reality, this isn't a town issue.
I don't know that repaving the street would have created that, because, when you took the old blacktop off, you would have brought the street back to where it was in the beginning. So,
Oh, I thought that's what you said after we
No.
paved the street.
Yeah, that's what she claims.
Gotcha.
Her claims. But when they did it, they basically milled off and they didn't go no higher with the blacktop or nothing. They connected to existing sidewalks that were there.
I mean. I'm like Joe, I think maybe price it out, see what it would cost to maybe do something if it helps, you know what I'm saying? I don't know if it's gonna be. Worth it, I mean, like Pete said, it's not really our problem.
Yeah.
No, I mean, if you look at the property, which Brandon had me out there. The entire property is sloped to the backyard.
Right.
So you can put he can put a basin in her front yard and the water's gonna puddle there. It's still gonna lay there. Whatever doesn't get caught by that storm drain because of the abundance that we've had recently, it's just gonna flood her front yard. I mean,
You, even by putting a basin in the front yard, I still think that she's still gonna have a problem. It's gonna fix a little,
Whose house is this? The one right by the trailer,
it's gonna just divert the water
well,
out.
the one,
where Curtis used to live in the trailer.
then there's the house right next to it.
Yeah.
That guy's got the nice white fence and the
Yeah.
blacktop. And his property actually is the same way, but he's got everything tapered into these storm drains. It's the little
Yeah,
can rancher.
yeah,
Right there next to the apartment. But I mean, it's a legitimate issue. I mean, we walked it.
Mhm.
The grounds was saturated, but we also had how many inches of rain in a short period of time.
Right.
Well, I don't know, like you're saying, I don't know that it's our responsibility. Maybe she needs to hire a contractor to come in there and tell her what she needs to do to have it done.
right.
Even if she doesn't hire a contractor, she at least needs a professional opinion for somebody to deal with stormwater management, to find out what's the best solution for this problem. Does she dig a trench in her front yard and put a French drain in? I mean, there's several options out there. But I mean, I understand when you had your water issue, we just put a storm drain there. I mean, I get that, but that may not be the quick fix for this one.
Right.
But, I mean, it's got legitimate concern, legitimate issue, but. We didn't
But
create,
like you said, she bought the property.
yeah, we didn't create the problem. I mean, I understand and we sympathize, and he jetted it, and basically, he just jetted it to see if they were clogged up, and they weren't. And I told him I was okay with that, and I'm sure you guys would be, just to see if we could help. But, I don't
I
know.
mean, I'm not opposed to either way, but I didn't
I just,
stress this one.
if an engineer doesn't look at it, if you go out there and you start putting a basin in and you put a storm drain in, and that doesn't solve the problem, now we've got standing water in the front yard because the drain can't.
Well, now
Then we have,
committed ourselves,
then we've created that problem. But that's why I think she needs somebody that deals with stormwater management to look at it and give her the best solution for her problem. And then if we can help her, we'll try to help her, but I mean, we can't pay for it, but, you know, we have resources. But, I think that would be the best option, that's just my opinion, but, I mean, I don't think putting a basin in the front yard is gonna solve the problem. I think it's bigger than that,
Mhm.
but I'm not a stormwater management expert.
Anybody else have any thoughts?
I agree with Pete.
We'll do what we can, but like I said, I don't think putting a basin in the yard is gonna help.
Everything else for us, Brandon?
That's about it. I'll save everything for the regular council. I mean, everything else, been all right.
All right, thank you, Amanda.
Nothing major to discuss.
Town manager, Ms. Tammy.
Just,
I had something for Amanda. If people donate anything, whether it be jackets, clothing, food, can they get a receipt for tax deduction? I was just asking, I know somebody asked me actually this morning and I didn't know. And we talked about it the other day, I know when you go to Goodwill, they'll ask if you want a receipt, I mean, I've never taken one, so I don't know what they look like, but.
we can actually, we'll talk to, sheriff.
But I didn't know if you could do that with food.
I'm sure you can do it as a donation. I'm sure you can do it with
Yeah.
anything as a donation.
Yeah,
I'm just curious. I was asked and I told them I would ask.
I did see a posting on Facebook in reference to donation. So they all come to the town office now,
yes.
okay?
Is there a reason behind that change?
For what,
The
donations?
donation.
To have better tracking, and for, better checks and balances.
We
Sure,
checks and balances on what?
For any of the money and for any of the donations that come in, because, she needs to report to Cheryl.
We have to report everything that we get, who it comes from and what it is, and that's for the official. Anything that comes in.
So we've been receiving donations at our house.
Mhm.
That's been fine all along, and we've been completing the forms that Cheryl needs to verify what we got, so I just didn't know what the change was that. So you don't want donations dropped off at our house any longer, what you're telling me? Or-
Just here, because I'm trying to get things at town hall and everywhere just consistent, and so if we have one drop off location and.
Well, what are you gonna do when people, when your town office didn't know people drop stuff off my house all the time today?
They can call and set up a time for one of us to still be there. I'm there late anyway. I just had a couple of things. Lennox wanted me to let you know that they had the in-car radios installed yesterday. Leslie, Brendan thinks that she has, funding from MDE for the old wastewater treatment plants. That should cover all of it. The problem house, the code enforcement on Sunset is going through foreclosure, tax sale, and for the tax office, it could take it anywhere from 90 days to a year, so.
That's the one next to the Baptist church.
Yeah.
That one finally.
Well,
Not that there's a
just
buyer, but it's the court
just what
process.
happened, we buy there, because we've had multiple complaints about the back door being busted in Chanel. If somebody gets in there, they can have the house. Hey, we sealed it up probably the best it's ever been sealed. But, we drove by and I'm like, that paper wasn't on that front door, so we happened to stop in there and took a picture of it and contacted Jamie. Jamie did some research because it was all court documentation, so. And she got us, the lady, pretty blunt, she just said it takes what, 60 days to a year.
You know the house out on Sunset, couple of ranchers out there, there's always that door open on that one and nobody's living in. Have you gone by there and seen that one? It's like the third one in
Where at, on Sunset?
on Sunset. I mean, not Sunset, I mean, Cedar Lane. You know, the ranchers are out there,
Yeah,
there's that one, always, every time I go by there, nobody's there, but the door keeps popping open.
talk about 410.
Yeah,
Police got multiple calls there. They go, the door just does not. I guess it does not secure enough.
I just, I'm like, just go by and it's like, is there anything on that? Is that up for foreclosure or, is there any notes on the door?
The house was in foreclosure. I thought somebody bought that.
Oh, there was, didn't there?
We'll check on that.
No, it's just every time I go by, it's wide open and it's like, certain days I go by, the door's shut, but there's nobody there, and then the days go by, the door's wide open and nobody's there. It's just inviting people to,
I'm sure that lady can't afford an engineer to come out and do a thing. That would point out things that, I'm sure like Leslie might know somebody or, I think the other girl was like this down there.
Yes, she did, Leslie wasn't helpful.
And I was the one that encouraged the gutters and for. Right?
And for us to go after funding.
Well, Leslie's not still in my minute. But I know there's a guy in there that is, I'm trying to think of his name. But they would probably come out and look at it and give them an idea.
North County Park, they are moving forward. They would like to, Jamie would like to come out and talk to everybody. They would like to discuss further the sharing of the access road. Which would entail an MOU for the joint use and maintenance of the road. That was discussed a year ago. And then, hooking up to the water and sewer for the one bathroom. And for any irrigation or anything, it would be either a well or going out of the river. And last is the highway user funds. Governor has authorized them to be reinstated, so FY25 we will still get it. That's it.
Are they gonna be the same as last year, do we know?
Didn't get that far yet, but he's agreed to it and hopefully we see it soon.
All right, thank you.
Now, before you go, the funding for the old sewer treatment plant, do we know how much that is and what the entail doing there?
The one that Leslie,
Yeah,
it's over 2 million, and it will be in a couple phases. One will be to take the old pump station out. And then
do we use that pump station?
yeah, well,
Are they gonna
they're gonna
replace
move it, they're gonna move
Okay.
it,
They're moving it to the top of the hill.
yeah, and then they'll
So-
demolish everything else.
And then the old green beds, they're gonna get rid of it and make that a green space.
Now, what are they gonna do with the river though, since it's so close? Are they gonna build a bulkhead there, or do we know, or is that something we have to have an engineer?
They're going to take care of it, it's something with the concrete that's there, some
Yes.
old
I mean, I
way
know
of
it's been
doing
there for
things.
how long, David?
A long time.
But it'll actually be made wider and riprap and they'll plant some trees along there to help establish it.
She thinks that they might get some help from state highway, because if that area is
Cause it is,
fixed up, it will help
'cause I know they get a lot of
eliminate
wash
problems
down
with
that
the
hill.
bridge.
Yeah, she's got 3 different people. She's got a guy that she's dealing with now, the state highway, and she's still on with DNR about on this.
Beside the river and all that. Okay.
Town Attorney Lindsay, you have anything?
I don't have anything. I did receive the executed settlement agreement between the town and ProStart, so hopefully you'll start seeing the reimbursement on the January bill, and if you don't, let me know as soon as possible. I am working with Jamie on sending a letter to the property with the abandoned and salvaged vehicles, letting them know that it is not a permitted use for the zoning district. Working on the RFP for the inventory line, and Tammy sent me the water line map that the town already has, so that would be helpful. And should have the cannabis draft ordinance ready for introduction and review at your first February meeting.
All right, great. So the place on Sunset Avenue, how long will they be given to remove those? And if they don't, what are our options, do you know?
Yeah, so how long they have to remove is really what we think is reasonable based on how many vehicles they have there. You know, I think we could say 30 or 45 days. I don't know how many vehicles they have on site right now. If they don't remove them, then they're in violation of the zoning ordinance and we issue citations and take them to court.
Until they remove them or we end up having to do.
Yeah, we'll get a court order to, remove them. And if they don't, then we do at our expense and get them to reimburse.
So can we charge them for the zoning violation? Is it one charge or can we charge them per vehicle?
So you can charge one charge per day for every day that it exists.
One charge per day, but is it one blanket charge or can we charge them per vehicle that's there in violation?
You can charge them per day, so you can't do like per car, but you could say, on January 1st, you're in violation, and then every subsequent day, it's
Have a
an
single
extra
car, yeah.
violation.
Fair.
What?
If we said $500 a day, then
That's gonna give it incentive to come get.
I get that, but I mean, but a single resident is not allowed to have one vehicle in a state of dismantle or repair. Unless it's covered or whatever. And this guy's got a fleet on out there, so we should be able to charge him per vehicle. If we're gonna
Well-
charge citizens one, then what makes him different?
Because you can't do it per vehicle, it's just for one violation. It's not every single vehicle. But you would, I mean, that's where we've kind of used our discretion in the past. If someone has one vehicle, we've given them more days to remove it. And if they don't, we've sent them another letter. We've been a little more lenient on when we actually send a violation or issue a violation. And rarely have we ever issued subsequent violations. In this case, we would because it's egregious.
Well, I can only speak for myself, Lindsay, but I wouldn't want to be lenient at all with these people because, they dump these here almost in the middle of the night kind of thing, and we repeatedly tried to get them to take the proper action and so forth and so on, and they haven't cooperated, so whatever we need to do as quickly as we can is what I think we should do.
Okay. I'll take care of it.
I think. Anybody feel anything? All right, town council discussion, fees and costs.
The only thing that I haven't gotten anything from Lennox. Jamie looked through everything and feels that the building permits are the only thing that really needs to be tweaked. And she's checking on a couple things to get kind of like an average for, I think she's using Kevin's building permits as a range to come up with, and then she's gonna talk to Hal. And then come to you guys with it. But
Okay, you wanna put that on the, our next meeting night, or you wanna give them a couple meetings?
next meeting, I'll send that out to you on Monday.
All right, water and sewer rate discussion. How you wanna run with that?
I had a lengthy conversation with PDF today. And, shared with them a lot of the concerns, and then also what we are anticipating for increases, well, potential increases out there. So they, whoever was saying, proposal one or Greensboro one, whichever one on there, it's a 6-point-something% on the street. He agrees that that's probably the one that would be best for residents and still bring in a suitable percent for
so
the contingency
I
fund.
was looking at everyone like Joe and everything, and I think, 6% seems like a lot right now. But I think.
He agrees in phases.
Uh,
He agrees in phases,
like
how,
do it
whatever.
2%,
Mhm.
2%, 2%, that way it's not killing anybody, but I think our other thing is how do we wanna break it down on how many gallons do we wanna do it at? Because. I mean, we already know that most people, there's a lot over the 16,000 gallons. And,
Not really.
huh?
Not really. The numbers we got.
No, I think it was like 258 was the most. if I'm
Yeah.
going.
23% of Greensboro uses under 6,000 gallons.
Yes.
Everybody over that uses 6,000.
Well, that's what I'm thinking, is we did like a 0 to 6, 6 to 12, 12 to 16, and
Yeah.
then did over 16.
Yeah, that's what, yeah.
Break it down in that 4 increments, I think it would go, I mean, I know I use about 8,000 gallons, I don't know, how much do you
Well,
use? You don't even
Hold
know,
on, Bobby, if I heard you right, Greensboro one,
Mhm.
which under my name is option 1 and B, but it's in 4 phases.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's 0 to 6, 6 to 12, 12 to 16,
Right.
and then over
Yeah.
16.
Mhm.
correct, right,
And you're saying that he's estimating that that will bring in 6% additional revenue?
At the calculations right now, he has to. Well, he's gonna have to adjust it and work backwards based on what we tell him as anticipated for plant operations.
That's my concern.
And
Yeah,
That's the triple one. I mean, I get it. That's the one that's the most.
he also
effective
said
for the
he used
Right.
caution.
But if we end up having to pay another $100,000 for our plant operations, that's not gonna cut it. That's the problem. We know that if even CoStar can bid in March and match everybody else.
I wish.
right, because we know they're gonna go up,
Well, they're gonna have to, they know what everybody else is for.
right,
So, I mean, they'd be poor business if they didn't. So we know that we're gonna have to generate about another $100,000. And even if you do it in phases, we still got it somewhere, we've got to eat that, and it's supposed to be a self-sufficient program.
so.
Yeah. I mean, by law.
But, we,
But if you think about all the times that we've been, I mean, think about all the issues that we've had with the sewer and water. Okay, we've gotten the different fines, we've had the well having to be put in, that was 50 grand, wasn't it, right, Brandon?
30 some.
Okay, 30 some, I mean, all these things are adding up, plus all the treatments and all that kind of stuff, and paying for the pro start at $130,000, and the time that Brandon and the team have had to put into it, all that stuff has got to be, it's been put into that budget of money. And,
well,
Yeah.
we have to take into consideration future increases.
Right.
And for anything, I mean.
I know we-
Inflation, that drives prices up on our materials
I
and
mean,
contracts.
If we do the 6% and we phased it in over the 3 years. And you're bringing in money here, do we raise goals for 6%?
Lindsay and I have to sit and talk about Goldsboro, and then I will also have to adjust what we have for going north.
well, what I'm saying is that we did, like Joe said, 2% now for the next billing, 2% in the following billing, and then it's the other 2%. It's a gradual increase, it's not a big shock to everybody. I mean, you take six,
Just to clarify, you're talking about increasing 3 quarters, or not over 3 years.
3 quarters.
Yeah, 3/4. No,
Yeah, you said
years.
3
No,
You said 3 years.
no, I'm not.
I just-
I
No,
thought-
no, didn't
And
do that.
instead of doing that, I think the preferable way to do it would be see what that monetary amount is and divide it by the 4 and spread it over the 4 quarters.
Oh,
That's feasible too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know,
that's simple math.
Right.
and make, the thing that is concerning for me is that we wanna set the rate. And how we're gonna, there's 2 different things, how we're gonna bill people and then the rate, and we wanna have it done. By the second meeting in February, so that we can use that for our budgeting purposes, but the problem is that we don't have any idea what the budget is gonna need. Like you were just talking about, right now, we're taking in, give or take, I didn't bring the paper, but we're talking about $700,000 of our current funding. And $130,000 is going to the plant, people to take care of the plant, the rest of the money is being spent. On secondary expenses, all the chlorine and the chemicals that we use,
Maintenance.
the maintenance, the repairs, some of the salaries from the employees, so the money that we're taking in now currently. Is being spent, we don't have anything left
No
over,
surplus.
probably be lucky if we can break even.
Yeah, for rainy day.
So
Yeah, we're-
what the dart we're trying to throw is what is the increase gonna be next year for the plant people?
Right. If they go up $100,000 or more,
well, and keep in mind, I just did a quick thing, water, sewer, INI and streets for ARPA. for a year and a half is over $803,000, and that's gonna be going away, so.
That's money we've spent.
Yeah.
And that's not even part of the 700,000.
No, that's ARPA money, so
that-
no.
yeah,
So basically, you.
It's gonna be a hit.
Yeah, you should have been bringing in double than what you're bringing in. To make everything sustainable.
But I mean, we can hope that the fixes that cost all this money are done, and those were the big ones, but.
Yeah, but we still have the issue on Church Street,
Mhm.
that we haven't even gotten anything on funding for that.
And
We
just
already
by
know that.
example, we had a water leak out here on a perfectly paved street,
Park,
Park Avenue.
Well, we knew that we were gonna have to either get a grant or float a bond for church. Well, that's a different topic. The question is, if we're paying 130 and we're afraid that our next contract is gonna come in somewhere around 250 to 300,
If he's gonna be competitive with
That's
the other
another-
two known vendors, then
then
yeah.
that's about 150,000 that we need to come up with, the way I look at it. Maybe if we get lucky 130, hoping that some of our expenses will go down, but you're just rolling the ball. I mean, rolling the, of course, that's what budgeting is anyway. But I don't, when are we gonna send out the renewal contract and when will we have the bid back?
And then March,
March for the RFP, Lindsay?
Yeah, so we're looking at issuing in March so that we can have April and May to get bids back and negotiate and have someone in place by July 1.
But can we expedite that any, and get that out so that for budgeting purposes, we'll know at least what the companies are coming back with, how much they're
Yeah.
gonna pay,
We can.
and get it out quick as we can and get it back as quick as we can, and at least then we'll have something we
well, then we
can
have a workable number that's
Yeah.
realistic.
put into our budget. Yeah, 'cause
Yeah.
right now we're just shooting in the dark. I mean, the only thing you have.
I mean, Dale could go back and say it's $500,000,
Yeah,
then we're like,
The only thing
oh,
you have now is to go, with a high number.
right. I mean, we already
Okay.
know what it's gonna cost if we had just somebody come out and run the plan itself.
Yeah, we won't execute the agreement till July the 1st, but at least we can,
We have, like, you
We'll
said,
be
we have a
planning.
number to say.
and whoever we hire will have a chance to get themselves together to be ready. I mean, if the ProStart ends up being the same one, they're already there. But obviously, if we hire ProStart back, we would have to enter into I think, some discussions with them and with our attorney to somehow put into a contract to protect ourselves from the problem we've had in the past.
The other thing too, didn't we have to pay for all that bed cleaning out we did? We had drip breedings for all that, and that was an expense.
Well, that and.
And that should have been done years ago.
Correct.
Are we taking into account that we lost $60,000 over the last couple of years because of their violations?
Right.
And how much grant funding? have we
Right, we're not
spent
eligible
moving
because of
forward?
that
I
violation.
just, I can't see where keeping them would be.
No, but we gotta come up with a workable way to do it. Right. Or there won't be anybody living in town that costs toilets to pay for it. They won't be able to afford to live here.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. At what point are we pricing everybody?
But when you look at other towns, we're actually fairly cheap.
I get it, but I mean, it should have been a gradual increase over these years and it hasn't been. So now you're gonna just really smack people and it's really hard times right now with inflation and everything else. So you gotta be careful how we approach this thing.
Well, like I said, that's why I said we do it in gradual increments and it's not quite as hurtful. If somebody come to you and say, I'll give you $100, but you gotta pay it back. You'd rather pay it back in
We
25.
gotta figure out how that looks on a monthly basis rather than hitting everybody every quarter.
Right. Yeah.
Well, I think we talked about all that. I think that, all of this is good conversation, and we all need to make those decisions. But until we get a target, we really don't know what we're trying to fix. And, I know Joe suggested that we do it in increments each quarter, which is a great idea. Then we talked about allowing them to make monthly payments,
Well, they can do that now.
They can,
but I don't know that everybody knows that.
Yeah.
If we roll out something new, we can
Yep.
certainly suggest.
Yep.
You got the option of quarterly or doing, your monthly payments. And then ease into it and hopefully it won't be, any worse than it has to be, but the bottom line is we gotta make it go, we gotta pay it. Somehow, some way.
We got- It's a
If there
double
aren't
edged sword.
grants
We
out
gotta
there
pay
that-
for it and we don't have any more federal money to help us.
Well, ARPA, there's other grants that were.
Other grants, but we don't have any ARPA money. Well, ARPA money, we can write the
Well,
check.
ARPA monies, yeah.
Yes. So, I mean, grant money, we have to apply for and pray.
Yeah.
So. I guess, are we just gonna wait until we have numbers before we start increasing the water bill? Because then the longer we wait, the more of an increase.
No, I think we should start now.
That's my concern is that if we wait until June or July, then instead of doing 2%, we're sitting at, well, now we're gonna do 4%.
Well, that's why I said, like, do 2% now for the next billing cycle, at least that's something. I mean, we're looking at budgeting this, because it's not until July, but at least if we start 2% for the next billing cycle, that gets us up to that next point, and it's not killing anybody. I mean, $77 is what we pay for water, 2% is what, another $1.40?
Well, so you're looking at, if I understand this correctly, Lindsay, if we wanted to raise the water rate even 2% now, it has to go through by ordinance. And don't we have to have a hearing?
Yep,
We're looking at like the first meeting in March before we'd be able to approve this, if we started and jumped on it right away. And we have to advertise it ahead of time, so we would have to figure out the percentage. Make the decision in our February meeting, because we can't make a decision tonight.
Right.
Introduce it, then have the public hearing, and then at the next meeting, could we actually pass it?
you
So
can
we
pass
put
it
it-
in the same meeting as your public hearing. You'd have to open the public hearing, hear comments, close the public hearing, and then you can act on it after that at the same meeting.
So
What's the advertising period?
is it 2 weeks?
Yeah, so with water and sewer rates, you wanna at least advertise, 14 days before, and you really wanna advertise twice, so.
I just think that. The more we do it, the more it's gonna look bad. You know, what I mean, I understand what you're trying to say, but are we really gonna get enough income during that last quarter to say, yeah, we're gonna charge you, increase it this quarter, and oh, by the way, we're gonna increase it again the next quarter, and then the next quarter, and then the next quarter.
So
I wanna
do it all in one
here's
fell swoop.
here's what I think we should do. Social media is a big thing. Can somebody create a poll on social media and say, hey, guys, listen, we gotta, we gotta raise the water rate. You guys want it in monthly, increments when we raise it, or do you want it all at once?
Yeah, I can definitely do that, and, just, Dave, just to say what, a comment about what you're saying about. In my perspective, it's not about how much money we're gonna get, it's as a mom of 3 kids who's working 2 jobs, that has 2 other full-time incomes in my house, who struggles to pay bills. Is that 2% gonna hit me like that 4%, or is it gonna give me a chance to catch my breath? That's what I'm looking at. It's not about how much money the town's gonna make, it's how that's.
I don't disagree with that. All I'm suggesting is that we wait to do it starting in July as opposed to the last quarter of this year. That was on my point.
But yeah, I can make a poll, and any suggestions you guys
I mean, I
have,
wanna hear
verbiage or
everybody else.
whatever.
Well, I think, I see where Dave is coming from, and I see where Amanda's coming from, so if we don't do it, then we just do a 2% in July, we're not gonna hit it with 4%, just do it in 2%.
You don't know what your number's gonna be.
Well, that's what I'm saying, but at least if we have the numbers, like I said, I don't think, like Amanda, or even Brandon, you wouldn't wanna get a 4% increase or say, oh, we gotta do a 6% the first quarter, and you're all going like, well, my water bill just went up another $100, how am I gonna pay for this?
But would we be able to do the 2% again in July, or do we have to play catch up at the end of the year? Do we have to have it up to the full percent before we cycle into the next year?
Well, I think that we would just give a flat amount. Correct me if I'm wrong, Lindsay, we would put out there that we're gonna increase it X amount of X%, and then we could do it gradual.
Yeah, so you could adopt an ordinance that has that has all the progressive rates in it at one time, as long as it clearly defines when those rates would come into effect.
I'm just saying 2%, it could be 3%, you know what I'm saying, we don't know until we get that, but.
I think the public would appreciate that, if Greensboro has to raise it 6%, okay, well, here's what we got, we're gonna raise it 2% or 3% at this time. another 2% at this time. You know, I think if we let them know, your bill's gonna be increased 6%.
It has to happen. How would you like to see it
Right.
happen?
Right.
Okay.
I agree with that. I mean, at least it's not a shock to people, because some people don't even look at their water bill. They just
And,
pay it.
and so I'm just trying to get all of you together here, so that I think we had come to the realization that we were gonna have to increase it by some percent.
Right. We just don't know how much yet.
But then you said, we talked about, and I thought we were gonna do that next year, starting in July, and then we would build it in gradually over those 4 quarters. Now somebody is suggesting that we increase it in the last quarter of this year, and I'm just saying, do we really wanna do that 5 consecutive times as opposed, are we gonna make that much money in that last quarter? Why couldn't we just wait that one more quarter to do? Does that make any sense? We're not gonna increase it anymore or any less. It's not gonna be any harder on any family. It's just, you know, do we wanna start? Maybe it would. We still, I don't know if we'll know by then what that number's gonna be.
Well, if Lindsay sends her things out and we accelerate the RFP and we get these numbers back, we have a workable number, we still have a month of the process of the ordinance and everything. So even if we don't push for the March one, you're looking at April, no later than May, that you gotta have all this done and passed.
Right.
So if
For the budget, yeah.
yeah, so I mean, so the quicker we get the RFP out for wastewater treatment plant, the quicker we have a workable number there. And then we're just gonna have to look at our normal maintenance costs. What do we deal with on a regular basis on the water side? I mean, I know there's chlorine and there's other things, but there's stuff out there. You've already had to replace air packs and other stuff. There's other little hidden things that are gonna be nickel dime stuff, but all that's an expense that we're gonna have to absorb. The system's gonna have to absorb. So we just gotta come up with a workable number there so that we actually budget a workable number.
Right.
And, you know,
We know what our fixed costs, and then we know the variable costs are the ones that we're gonna have questions.
Right.
And, you know, if we get the number back from the company and it says that we need to raise it, you know, 12%, I'm just throwing a number out there, then maybe we do the 5 quarters, you know, so that it's a smaller bite in 20 as we go along. But until we get that. But I think we're all in agreement that we want to do it in increments. Correct. Over the quarters.
Right.
Um,
We just don't know how much percent we're gonna break it down until we see the actual numbers. Pretty much, we have to look at a budget just for sewer, water, and sewer, just figure out how we're gonna.
And some people are gonna be affected differently if you decide to charge them at the different levels.
Right.
You know, we're looking at just the way we do it now, but if you're looking at 4 different levels, it's gonna impact people
everybody-
differently. Because under that plan, the BBF is saying is the best option to go with.
You pay it, play after certain.
Yeah,
16, I think.
you save $12 a quarter. If you're under 6,000, 6 to 12, you go up 15, I'm rounding, $15 a quarter. And if you're between the 12 and 16, it's gonna go up $57 a quarter.
Then you add a percentage on top of that.
Yeah, well, then you, whatever, we
Right,
increase it, yeah,
right.
those numbers would fluctuate,
Correct.
you know, and rather than saying a percentage, I would rather say what the actual figure is gonna be, $2 a quarter, $4 a quarter, you know.
Right.
When you say a percentage, people think get negative connotation from that. 2% sounds like a lot, when we, like you said, the 2% is $1.40, no, $1.40, that's a quarter. 3 months, that's not right. You know what I'm saying?
And most of the people in that 0 to 6,000 are the people that are elderly, that live by themselves or whatever, you know. It's the ones like Brandon has 8 people living in the house, he's gonna pay more for
The
it.
ones that are going over 12,000 now,
Right.
the ones that are gonna feel the fight, and the 12,000 people. It says that 23%. Or over 12,000 right now. But I would suggest that most of those are probably businesses or multiple, you know, unit development. Where, you know, you may have one house, but you have 3 or 4 families living in Sharon,
That reminds me of something else too, if you guys will think about it to, have as a topic for another meeting, the, mandatory one unit, 1 meter.
Right. Right. That's the way it should be. That's the way we made one animal.
But if we did that, is that something we would have to grandfather in the ones that are already set up different way?
We ones. Took care of one property on Granby. Made him get separate units for every one.
Yeah, what are you gonna do about range for heights and everything?
But I mean, people that now that have only 1 meter going into their house and the plumbing is set up that way. And they got, let's just say, 3 different families living there. How would they even go back? I'm not a plumber, well, how would they even go?
Well, it'll get expensive pretty quick, because you're gonna have to put in, each dwelling's gonna have their own hot water heater, and you're gonna reduce the plumbing.
Now, is that something, the federal government's got that thing now where they want people to convert garages and all that stuff, the homes, to offset some of the homeless stuff? Is that something that, if that was to occur, we could incorporate as part of that?
Maybe not that, but there are other grants that we could look for.
I mean,
Low income and everything,
I
because
think
that's,
going forward, we should, you know,
well, the government
one
is
resident.
very,
but I don't
proactive
think
on.
we're gonna be able to make the village when it start taking all the old people up, just put in meters.
Now, but they're very proactive on low income, and so there's probably a lot of funding.
So Lindsay, if we were gonna, introduce an ordinance that would require multiple units, have the multiple pits and so forth, and get billed separately, is that something, if you did an ordinance, would we have to just be those moving forward? Or could we make it retroactive for everybody that has multiple units now in town?
I'd have to do some research, and I have looked at this in the past, but I'd have to look at it again just to make sure it's still accurate. But I think that you can only do it going forward for any additional or new multifamily residences.
You could
That's
also,
what I was gonna say too.
you could also specify the same thing with utilities. They have, each occupant has to have an electric meter, you know, you could, not single out just water, but you could require all of that. That becomes a self-sufficient unit.
Unless we find funding that would help them pay.
That's what I meant. I'm sure there's stuff out there, because that seems to be the big initiative right now with the government. Ever since they sent the kids home from New York, they're a little pushing it home.
Yeah, I mean, it's actually really helpful for renters to have separate units because it prevents them from being shut off because their neighbor didn't pay.
And if we're running into that.
That's what I ran into years ago, that's why we went ahead and did a separate. unit.
Yeah.
Where the tenant would say, I paid it. To, you know what I mean, to the landlord, but the landlord never came up here and paid it. Then it was shut off.
That was probably the one that was made to change.
Yes,
Yes,
yes, that's why I said, we went ahead and said, you gotta get your own meters.
yeah.
So who would we talk to or give us guidance on what we'd have to include that in? You know, besides the water, are we gonna require them to have a separate electric meter? Are we gonna require them to have separate, whatever, I mean, you know, we just talked about water and sewer. I don't know how intricate you really want to get.
Why not buy the Gray's got meters on the side of his building across from the firehouse, every apartment has its electric. And they did that specifically so that,
Yeah, but I don't think that would be on us. I mean, water and sewer, we can
No, but we
control,
can-
but the electric, we don't
we
control.
control utilities, we can control how they're installed, how they're not installed.
And we, some places we can't rent the utilities at all.
I just know there's a big initiative right now, so there's money out there.
Right.
I don't know if it's money we can use or if money we can just steer people towards, but.
Whoever owns it at home.
Right.
All right, well, take a look at that, Lindsay. There seems to be some appetite on the council to consider that at the very
Okay.
least. Whether we can just, can we make it retroactive and can we just control the water and sewer, or can we do water, sewer, electric meter,
All utilities,
or whatever utilities, yeah.
just utilities.
Okay,
Anything else for water and sewer?
We get a workable number, then we can figure out the fine tuning and the gallons
So just,
for the breakdown.
just to summarize, Lindsay, when are we gonna advertise and send out the RFP, and when do we expect to have it back, so we can have that on record?
Well, and we have the draft. I'd want your engineer to review it, so let's say we'll try to get bids back in March. If we can get it out in February.
As soon as we can, yeah.
What?
Well-
Mhm.
Are you gonna just put it on the town page or?
I'm probably gonna put it on the town page and share it to the town page. And then,
Let it, will it,
yeah, and the Greensboro Connect page, and then, probably write a big speech off on the personal page about how important it is, and then just tag everybody.
Okay, just almost the percentage.
Yeah,
Just say, hey, rates have to go up. How would you rather?
I know.
Because we don't know what the percentage.
Yeah,
is.
if I don't know what the numbers are, and I'll put it out, I'll send it to you. To you.
yeah, because the water
Did
bill
you-
is those people who don't have social media, how would?
Yeah, you gotta remember, some of the water bill goes to the land board. It doesn't go to the actual tenant.
Yeah.
Who's using the water.
How do you reach those adults?
Just that's why social media is important.
I guess my question is, you know, how would you phrase it?
Magic.
Google.
Kid gloves.
It's my experience that surveys don't work. They create more problems than they fix, but I'm willing to do what everybody wants. to do.
I think that even if they create more problems at this point, the fact that
They
we
knew,
asked
yep, and you
is
knew.
gonna be
you had a
beneficial
choice.
to us, yeah. Instead of it just.
Because we don't
being-
have a concrete answer to this.
Yeah, instead of it just being, well, they decided.
Mhm.
That's what I'm concerned about doing that. I think that once we get our numbers in line, and then we have a public hearing and meeting about what our options are, this is what we're talking about doing, and have the people give the input then. It might be the better way to do it, because they're gonna ask more questions than we can.
Well, maybe that, if you guys would like me to wait, I can wait, that's up to you guys, but also. On that perspective, maybe it'll get more than just our friend here to show up to a meeting and ask questions.
Yeah.
Get the people going.
Well, I mean, we could put it out maybe that we're going to have to raise water and sewer rates.
Not maybe we're going to.
Well,
Water and sewer rates are gonna have to go.
Well, we told them that when we had our public hearing on this.
we may just have to have another public hearing.
Yeah.
Wait till we get more concrete information and then get through better. Cause I hate to stir everybody up and then we not have answers. That would. It makes us look bad, plus just gets everybody up. They might panic. And I don't think, we want to try to work with them as best that we can, make it as palatable as possible.
Well, it's just like everybody up here. We all sit up here. We gotta pay the water bills too and sewer bills. So do we want to raise them? No, but we know we have to. You know,
Now, just remember.
like he comes to the meetings, but who else? All these people out here, you know.
Settle down.
So remember, we're gonna have a meeting here, but if we increase the rates, Lindsay, then we had to have a public hearing in Goldsboro too, correct?
Yes, yeah, you'll have to have an advertised public hearing in Goldsboro.
Even before we go there. Oh, I'm sorry, before we do the new plant, sorry.
We can do that. We can buy it.
Do we have to have it in Goldsboro? Yeah,
Yeah, because they just need sewer.
yeah.
Who's the full budget gonna be on?
It goes into effect July 1.
When is the full budget out?
There's in fact a lot of it.
But we have to look at it and we have to have it approved by end of May.
You have to have a public hearing on it, yeah, right, no later than the second meeting of that.
Right. Then it's gotta go on the notice and all that. And then we have to.
But I'm sure Tammy's working on, it, now to get the base numbers in, and then she'll have them and we'll be able to bring some numbers. Her and I'll work with it, and then we'll bring it back to you folks. To plug around some numbers and then vote on it. We need to make sure that we stay on top of it, because last year we were in a rush.
Well, and I think out of the budget, if you really think about it, I think our water and sewer is our biggest
Yeah.
issue right now. The rest of it is sort of plug and play, but this is one of the biggest issues that we're running across because it's still that unknown. It could be, we need to budget $1 million for all this stuff, we don't know.
So I'm sitting there and everybody's talking, huge, because are we doing the poll, are we not doing the poll now? I don't know.
So I was gonna summarize again, to try to get this all together, because I thought we were, we talked about doing the poll, but I made a suggestion that I don't think that it's a good idea to do that.
I thought this poll was simply to ask the people how they wanted the increments. If water and sewer rates are going up, would you rather have it phased in over a period of time, or would you rather have it all at once? I thought it was that simple. I didn't realize it was gonna be a big.
Detailed thing.
Yeah,
I would just say that, well,
Yeah.
that was my impression, and maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, that's all, I don't have any other information that I can put in
I
there.
mean, people are gonna fire back, how much are they gonna go up? I see your side of it, but at the
They
end of the day,
They are gonna comment that, and I'm
And
gonna
then
say, we're
even
waiting,
if they have to say, well, attend the public hearing.
at the end of, we're waiting on that information currently, please plan on attending the public hearing. Should be, date to be announced.
So that should be put in the initial post. We do not have concrete numbers. We want to know how.
Yeah, that can be added, it doesn't have to be a comment, I see what you're saying.
And then that brings attention to the fact that we're having a hearing, and if you have an
discuss those
opinion, it would
numbers.
be the time for you to show up.
And I can also, just thinking about what you said about people not having social media, I can print it and take it to the library and post it.
no, so I just have one thing,
Can we make it bilingual?
Sorry,
Can you make it bilingual?
yes,
so I just have one thing, since we're going over fees and fines and everything else here. The open maybe, have workshops, maybe start at the charter or ordinance, number one. We'll go through those and if we have any changes, we'll change it.
I mean, do you know of any changes that we really, have you looked through and seen?
The charter? No.
I mean, the charter's set, I know, there's.
I
a
need
lot.
to go through,
But you guys have changed stuff over the years that's not currently listed in the charter.
So,
well, I know that there's like the voting stuff that still shows, yeah.
Yeah, April.
Yeah.
so, I had hoped to meet with Tammy today to talk about some of these SOPs that she has sent out for review, and I know Pete and I talked to her a little bit about that yesterday. And what I was concerned about today was meeting, with Lindsay as to what documents the council needs to approve and which ones that Tammy as the town manager can put out. So we were talking about SOPs.
I think I clarified that with Lindsay today, that they're
Well,
just internal.
there's some of the SOPs that you sent me sound like they're policy. So anything policy driven probably should be
It's council,
reviewed by the
yeah.
council. But once the policy said the how to do it is an SOP, it should be able to be preset, by you. And so I was gonna try to help you, but from my understanding, I want to get from Lindsay, in my world, you have, rules and regulations, policies and procedures, and those are set. So how does the town agree with it? They got the town charter, the town code, and then SOP?
Well, put the employee manual in there, I guess, because there's a lot of stuff covered in there. So I guess whatever's not in any of those three documents should be.
So what are you saying on that, Lindsay? Did you hear what I said?
Yeah, I heard what you said. If it's policy related, that it would go to the council, but if it's something like, if it's something within the employee manual that Tammy is issuing an SOP for further clarification on a policy that already exists, then I don't think it needs to go to council. If that makes sense.
Well, that didn't answer your question, but no.
Do we want to start working on it?
That is a humongous undertaking.
What does he want to start working on?
Maybe the charter, I mean.
Reviewing the charter and the
Oh.
code. Updating it, bringing it current.
There's a lot of things in there. I've read through it. And it's a lot of them don't even understand some of the stuff, because it has nothing to do with, I think, some of the public works. But like you said, it's about the election stuff. The duties of council, the mayors, all that kind of stuff, I think it's just been let go over the years. And there's not really any clear definition of what it is.
Or some changes were made and they really weren't
They
put
weren't
in right.
correct, right?
I think it's a great idea. It's a way to bring everybody up to speed and get all you guys on the same page. I love it.
I mean, you have to have rules and regulations, and you have to follow the procedure.
Well,
You gotta have a guideline.
doesn't the charter, isn't that the most important document, if you will, that the town has?
Right.
So, the charter and then the code,
Mhm.
then maybe we should start looking at the charter. And I don't know how you wanna go back doing that.
Well, I mean, you bring one of them,
Topics each meeting.
correct, and just go through it. I mean, shouldn't take that long. I mean,
Well, then my next question is I think kind of piggybacking off that, are we going to change and go back to workshop? The last meeting.
I would hope so, that's what we explore. Right. And I don't know how y'all, you know what I mean?
So
Well,
we
there's
changed, it-
change.
so we changed it so that each meeting you can make decisions. Because if you don't, I mean, you can talk about a workshop, but as long as you have a regular meeting, you can make decisions. Otherwise, you only make decisions once a month. Things get pushed down the road. You know, I mean, we can sit and have these kind of conversations in a regular meeting if we want to. But now we're sitting here, we're gonna make a decision, we can't. So we gotta postpone it for 2 or 3 more weeks. That doesn't make any sense.
and there are certain months that we only got 2 meetings, but then you got 3-week break between the next meeting, because of the regular holidays, a month days falling. So then things get pushed to the wayside, and then we're all looking at each other going, all right, what did we discuss?
So,
I mean, basically, I mean, if we just say it's a regular meeting, we can do whatever we want up here and talk about it.
Correct.
So we don't have to leave workshop, we can keep it as a regular meeting.
Mhm.
There, right?
Tammy, I don't want to put you on the spot, but so, somebody needs to be in charge of this charter review, so is that something that you're gonna take on too, or are you gonna put somebody in staff?
Well, I don't know that yet,
Okay.
but we will send out,
Well,
well, do you want a copy of the full thing? Would you like just copies as we go along? Full, okay.
I think that whoever's in charge of it, we can take a little bit, start at the beginning and go through. There may be some that's obvious we don't need to fool with.
Mhm.
And so there may be 2 or 3 that could be done in a meeting very quickly. If whoever's in charge of it can kind of review it, bounce it off you, and I'm around, I will certainly be willing to help. And we can send it to the council and they'll have it. You know, and you might knock out 3, 4, 5 in one meeting. But, you know, there just needs to be somebody
Yep.
responsible for driving that train.
Sure.
And, that worked for people.
Well, the reason I said it, because I know, I first got elected. Charter, you know, the name was, you know, so I was like, well, we want to do that.
I would like to do that. I mean, that's what I did for 20 years, so
Would you guys like print copies in the binder?
Yes.
Yeah. Please.
once they're.
No, I want the ones you're using now.
Now. so-
That way we don't highlight things.
I'll send
I don't have any copy of the charter or the code.
I'll
Yeah.
send a PDF and I'll do a print copy in the binder. And then
Or
you
make
guys
a
can
reference
mark
update of
up.
something I've never reviewed. So, yeah, I'd like to have.
The charter is online, correct?
I know the code is.
So charter's online,
Yes.
I've seen it. Now, I don't know if it's up to date. You know, I don't know.
I don't know, we went, so
I
they
don't know-
when it was 2008, I think, that I saw, it's old.
I don't know where the Bible is. It's just, in other words, the charter is only there. What's on the website is only what somebody put on it. Somewhere there has to be the original, if you will, what I'm trying to say, called the Bible. The original, this is the document we should be looking at. Pay no attention to what's on the screen, but we didn't update the last change on there. But here's the one that should be right. We need to have that somewhere. It needs, so that's what you need to be building, at least anyway, a new one. That says
So-
this is the-
Yes.
I have a Word document of the charter that when I do charter amendments, I add them to it. The problem is there was a gap between your prior council and when my firm started, so I don't have everything going back to 2008 when it was last updated.
I can do some searches. I know you had said that. Previous management didn't necessarily go through you on some things also.
Correct.
Let me just tell you, don't feel too bad because this happens in a lot of places, you know, where the policies and procedures, if you will, get pushed aside or get changed and they don't keep good documentation of it and you end up having to do this, you know, and if it gets set aside again for 10 more years, the next council will be dealing, two down the road will be dealing with.
Well, Tammy, I have a copy,
A print copy?
printed copy of the whole chart.
Okay,
It's a binder and it's about that thick.
alright, so
So
then,
I don't need one.
do you need a print?
Let me look, see the way,
Okay, so at least three.
you know, I would need it in Word if I'm gonna work with whoever you guys need to do this, try to make a change.
Lindsay, will you send me your Word version?
Yep.
But if we have it online, I hate to kill a whole lot of trees if the charter chapter obviously doesn't need any change, you know what I mean? It just seems like you're killing a lot of trees there. So you, if you want it, we'll do it, but if you can read it online, but if you can't do it online, then you just
Send it to me online.
You're just
Send
gonna
it
have
me
to
that
make
format if I have
notes.
comments, I can do it on the side in a different color. Like, I don't know what that program's called, but I know it's in Word. Okay.
So we got a mixed message. What do you want? Do you want it in, do you want it?
I say just print them from a binder. Yeah,
That way, if,
Well, I can do it so it's front and back, it doesn't have to be just single.
Anything else?
you guys have been productive.
Just trying to, you know, I just want things up, so we do come into another situation, or anything lawsuit or something. Our stuff is up to date.
Yeah, we don't look like we're lagging. I get it.
All right, anything from anybody there? Sir, you got anything you want to add to all this? Thank you for coming.
Yes, sir.
You keep us company.
Are you confused yet?
Anybody on the council have anything? So I'll look for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion to.
Second, all in favor? Howdy.
Thank you, Lindsay.
Yeah.
Good night.
Look at this one here. Okay.